Welcome to the In My Opinion Show. It's Ronald Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you go to, in capital letters, RBRIMO, I want to welcome our million of viewers worldwide. I also want to thank our very talented co-host, Ms. Jackie Williams.
Thank you.
Mrs. Denise Smith-Allen.
Thank you, Ron.
And Mr. Henry Hatter. And you,
thank you, Ron.
Our millions of viewers worldwide. I also want to say to Mrs. Denise Smith-Allen, Mrs. Jackie Williams, and Mr. Henry Hatter, you three are some of the most talented and intelligent people and are the catalysts that make the In My Opinion Show work. Thank you for your hard work and determination.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
You're more than welcome. Republicans, led by House Speaker Bonner, almost shut down the Department of Homeland Security. What was he thinking? This idiot was not thinking. This tactic was to derail President Obama's immigration plans for millions of undocumented men and women, both law-abiding that simply wanted an opportunity for American citizenship. Bonner's plans would have left the United States of America vulnerable to our enemies. I'm glad other conscientious Republicans and Democrats seen through Bonner's sinister plan. Mr. Hatter, what's your opinion?
Well, I don't think that Boehner intended to shut down the government and expose the country to danger by its enemies. But I think that Bonner was representing a constituency throughout the United States that believed that immigration, there's a process for bringing in immigrants into this country, and it's constitutional in nature. It's not by the president's signature, where he just blanketly signs an executive order and allow other people in the country and bypass the Constitution. We ought to be following the Constitution, and I agree with Boehner on that. I think that we are today allowing 1 million immigrants into the country. What our procedure established back about 10 years ago only permitted some 300,000 a year. Think about it. How many people are being displaced in this country that are Americans born here, native to the country, who are being displaced by immigrants? Not that immigrants are not needed in this country, because they bring in tremendous amounts of talent and education that we don't have in this country. We know we need those, but when immigrants come into the country, it should be balanced. It should bring value to the country, not just to come in and flood the country with immigrants that contribute nothing to the country. I agree with Boehner. And I think that there are many African Americans that agree with him. I think that many other groups, many Mexicans agree with him. But and that sets a challenge for it.
Mr. Hatter,
yes,
immigration has been America's policies from day one, since America was founded. Okay, the Chinese built the railroads. All right, way back when. All right, the Europeans.
I don't understand your point, Ron.
Well, yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You understand it perfectly. All right, and getting back to Boehner. All right, he's been against President Obama's plans from day one. Okay. All right, let's not shuck and jive here and bullshit the American public. All right, Bonner and his boys up there in Washington. You know what I mean? Everything President Obama has tried to do, they've been against. It's been the party of no, 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 no. Okay, and why I don't know. Okay, and I think to me, I hate to bring up the race card. All right, but it's there. It is there, and it's terrible. It's tearing the country apart.
Ron, who gets impacted most by new immigrants coming in? Is it the African American?
Everybody.
No, is it the African American?
Everybody.
Who has the least amount of skills? have the least amount of resources to create anything.
I wonder why.
I'm sorry.
Denise, what's your thoughts?
Okay, well, I happened to look at an article that was authored by Charles Babington on the 4th of this month out of Washington, D.C. And he indicated that John Boehner, he halted a massive fiscal cliff. He halted it, okay? He halted it by helping to prevent the shutdown of the Homeland Security Agency. So he has a different spin on this, okay? And he also quoted one of the GOP representatives out of Oklahoma, Tom Cole, and he said that Boehner's is, in a number of cases, has been the saving grace for the Republicans in terms of turning on itself, because they do some things that they don't necessarily think through. And so he paints Boehner as kind of
Greek God.
I won't say God, but I will say that he's the peacemaker, if you will, and he takes a lot of the flack. He takes a lot of the heat. He's supposed to, because he's one of their leaders, okay? But the way, again, I'm looking at this one article now, so this is where I'm making my reference point to, is the fact that he is seen as someone that is kind of disparaged by his own party, but at the same time, he has to wheel and deal and make some concessions in order for things to happen, to move. Now, the vote, from my understanding, was 182 Democrats and 75 Republicans, okay? So he says in the article, in conclusion, he said the vote did not rule out future attempts by the Republicans to defund the agency if President Obama won't yield to Republicans' wishes on issues of deportation. So they're clear. You know, they're not happy with immigration, and they want a strong stance on deportation. And so, again, from this article, the way I understood it, is that Boehner is, you know, he's going to catch it. He's going to continue to catch it because he has to be that guy in the middle to try to keep the Republican people straight. And also he has to also carry the message against the Democrats. So he, to me, I'm not in favor of him or opposed to him. I'm just telling you from what I understand of him, what his role is.
Okay, but also, too, according to government statistics, President Obama, all right, has initiated more deportations, all right, during his presidency than Bush did, during Clinton did, all together. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand, you know, I don't understand what the Republicans' beef is, all right?
They want more people out.
I mean,
and maybe he's done that. But they're saying that's not enough. They want more.
You know, I mean, my goodness.
Well, I think one of the things is that they're afraid because the last election, because I was reading an article that says 5 things that you should know about the threat. And one of the things that they said in the last election, of the presidential election, is that Mexicans were a great threat to the presidential election. So they know that. So they're trying to be proactive and get this taken care of right away. So if you bring them in and make them citizens, that's not a positive on your end. Mm-hmm. But what they said they messed up was, with all of the threats from ISIS and all of that stuff, you don't need to mess with security right now. That's not good, because also you're turning the workers against you, because I didn't know that it's 30,000 workers still have to go to work and don't get paid.
Oh.
Yeah, they still have to report to work, but they don't get paid until you fund the bill.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to go to work. So these are voters.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? These are voters. So, you know, you don't want to do that because, you know, some people don't go to work when they go anyway. So you really don't want to have somebody guarding security upset with us.
Ron, I think the confusion
it's
here.
been funded. All right, through.
Well, I'm saying now, but I'm just saying this was the threat, because they were saying that, you know, you're not thinking these things out, you know, and they also put on the table that they wanted to defund some more of the health care. That was attached to this, is that they wanted him to back out some of the requirements that are getting ready to go into, the requirements that are getting ready to be effective.
Republicans are not against immigration. They're against the illegal segment of immigration. You can't come into the country and push your way through doors and around barriers that says this is a private and free democracy. You must. There is a permitting strategy you must follow to come into the country. Republicans are against that. They know that we need immigrants in here to, particularly Mexicans, to work our fields, to do the things that American people won't do. They help them provide for the economy. And they earn enough money here in the United States because they are so frugal that they can send money still back to their home country. That's how good they are. And we just don't seem to get it. I believe that you guys have it wrong when you say that the Republicans are against immigrants, but they're not. They want immigrants that's going to come in and be productive to the country.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I'm not against anybody that wants to make a living for their family, whether it's immigrants or whoever else. You know what I mean? I'm against, people that want to castigate a certain group of people, because of who they are or their ethnic group, all right, or the color of their skin. That's what I'm against, all right, or they're females or handicapped or whatever, okay, and that's what I'm against, all right, unfair treatment of a certain class of folk.
And you're always going to have that segment of people in our country.
That's you don't. I mean, I know that, but that doesn't make it right.
Right.
Okay.
There are not all Republicans either.
Right, but we don't want to lose touch on what we're talking
Exactly,
about.
exactly,
We're talking about Homeland Security.
Yeah, but Homeland Security, nobody wants to shut the country down and expose its country to the enemy.
Absolutely.
Republicans don't want to do that.
Exactly.
But they wanted to make a point that they would
But
carry this to the end
you don't make a point that way.
the
Right.
edge. To the,
You know what I mean?
But that's how you must do it. You
No,
must
not-
make it go down to the
Not
end
giving,
power.
not giving your enemies
That's the
thought
strategy.
that,
And everybody
look what
uses
they're-
it, Ron.
Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. All right. Now, what else can we do? You know what I mean? To give an idea. All right. That an unsettling idea to other terrorist groups, you know what I mean, where they might get on board with some foolishness.
Well, I don't think no American has that intent, Ron. But I think that they do. They want to carry the fight to the cliff, the edge of the cliff, to the end hour, to demonstrate that they have a point they want to make.
No matter
And
who
that's
they
what the
hurt.
Republicans
No
did.
matter who they
took
hurt.
it to. They said, "We're going to stand our ground here. We're going to let the Democrats come to us."
Every
And that's
time
what the
you stand your
Republican
ground, you
says.
hurt somebody.
And Obama says the same thing. Generally, Obama wins, though, but
Right.
that's
The
not the
ratio is
Republican.
horrible. How many have you won? How many of you guys won?
You mean we have won?
I mean,
We're
how
all
many?
Americans. Remember that?
No. I'm saying how
You're
many of
not
these
an American?
shutdown fights have you guys won? Because you guys
I don't keep tag.
You
but
should.
I'm sure
You should because you're at zero. You're at zero.
I wouldn't say that if I were you. The Republicans. Now look, the Republicans had the largest majority, and for 60 years they skunked the Democrats across the country.
Not anymore.
I'm
No,
not talking
yes, they
about
did.
then. I'm
How-
talking
how
about
they
right
won?
now. You guys
No.
have your ratio is zero.
Well, yeah, the president's doing a good job in getting his point. I concede that. But now, looking ahead,
We don't want to gang up on them too
think
bad.
about how much power the Republicans have. Think about it. There's 59 Republicans in the Senate. They controlled the House. They could end
But
the
you
Senate.
guys are blowing it.
You're not blowing it.
All right.
It's shifting in the direction that their constituency want this country to move in. It's no longer the way that the Democrats moved, but the Democrats had a constituency. President Obama has a constituency, and he moved the country in the direction that his constituency wanted to move in. And many of his constituents were Republicans. Think about it. Now that shift
And the
has
country
happened.
is a whole lot better off. All right.
I'm not sure about
economy,
that.
The economy is
The
is
dollar
smoke.
may
The economy is
flop any
smoking.
day.
All right. More people that have work. Okay. People have jobs. All right.
295,000.
And our dollar is teetering on collapse.
What was it?
This is all built on a
What
foreign
was it
president.
under the Republican?
I don't know what it was, but
What
it
was
was
it
more
under
stable.
Bush?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Which
It was
Bush?
it was
George,
stable.
the son.
You can talk about it, but we got to keep the country. The Democrats have an obligation to keep the country stable.
And we're
So did the
and
Republicans.
and we're
We
doing
have
that.
an obligation to keep the country safe.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
have
Homeland
both.
security is.
We're back on that again.
Yes,
we have
we-
already debated that.
We debated it, but that was the topic, and that's why I'm trying to keep us
Yeah.
back on point here.
Well, nobody in their common sense want to sacrifice or expose the American people to the harm of their enemy.
Exactly.
Nobody. That's an
Nobody.
argument that we should not even
You know, with
waste our time.
you Republicans, there's not a damn thing President Obama can do, all right, that will satisfy you.
Well,
All right.
if he puts,
Republicans.
the only way that
I mean-
Obama will have a legacy is the Republicans will push him to it. Stop and think about it.
No, whether they
They're
whether
not
you
going to
push
give
him
it
or
to
not,
him. They're not going
the
to
man
give it
is
to him.
gonna-
They're going
the
to
man is
require
gonna-
that he earns it.
The man is
Well, he's earning it, as
The
far as
man-
I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's
earning it.
the man is
Not
gonna come
deserves
out
it,
as
but
one
he
of the,
earns it.
the man is going
I
to be.
said that. Earned it.
History is going to
You
prove.
see the difference?
Yeah.
The history is going to prove him to be one of the best presidents America's ever had. All right. Okay.
All right. So
All
we're done,
right.
we're done with that topic.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
But that was a good discussion. I really enjoyed it, Ron. You were trying to run me through that. I still say I leave here. I like Boehner.
I like him too, but he's still a crybaby. You know,
Yeah, okay.
cries about
That's
every damn
his
thing.
job to cry.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody has a position.
And I like the president.
Sure.
Okay, let's talk about doctors and their Hippocratic oaths. All right, there's a doctor, or a lot of doctors. You know, they have a Hippocratic oath. What do you think about this doctor? All right, that refuses, these doctors that refuse to
Treat kids.
treat lesbian mothers.
Treat the child.
All right, that have you know that have lesbian mothers that give birth to children. What is your thoughts on that? Because of his religious beliefs,
I think that he has a right to his belief.
then he shouldn't be a doctor. That's my opinion.
Well, I still think that he has a right to his belief. Okay?
But he may not have a right to practice because he's serving the public.
That's true. That's true. But you know, he doesn't have to.
Balance.
He does not have to continue to serve here in America.
Yeah.
If
He
it's a
can go.
violation of his
And we
belief,
won't
he
miss
doesn't
him.
have to do. Because did you know Genesis no longer terminate pregnancies because of their beliefs?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Genesis.
Yeah, they
So
should.
the hospital.
Yeah.
hmm
That,
So the
that should
hospital
be
is-
expected from Genesis.
Yeah, so Genesis is taking a stand too. So you can't go to Genesis and have certain procedures done. So Genesis, big old Genesis can do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, Genesis. My mom works at
I need to
Genesis.
close it down.
But I agree with Ron with that question. There's something wrong with that practice. When a doctor's job is to serve people, if they're different, if their race is different, if their gender is different, if their ability to pay is different,
Put a pin in that one.
and it's not his or her basis to decide right and wrong or good or bad. He decides what he does on a professional platform, not on a
I hear you.
moral
I hear you.
platform.
I hear you. But unfortunately, we're all human. And we
But
all
he-
come with our own, preconceived ideas, notions, religious backgrounds, and what have you. Okay, so I don't know that much about that situation other than what I've heard.
But I know that he should not be practicing in the United States if he's serving the public.
Listen,
What if
This
he
is
didn't
a-
want
you
to?
have, look, we have Americans today who are actually dying because doctors will not treat them because of their inability to pay. So if we're going to start talking about this, let's take it there. Because as far as I'm concerned, that Hippocratic oath would supersede everything. It would, but it doesn't in reality. It does not.
Well, not this. It's common sense among Americans.
No,
We for a number of years, we have considered life as worthwhile living and fighting for it. And there is a moral precipice that we need to establish in this country in order that we all live our lives out that was intended for us to live under the Constitution. You know, the right to freedom. And the right to have a job and to live where you want to live. And also to go into a hospital and receive the services that you need when you need it and when you can pay for it. But what you said about the rights of doctors refusing people who can't pay, that's limited and opposed by another practice in the country that's authorized by the federal government, and that is health clinics. You can go to any health clinic without the ability to pay and be served.
Okay, and just like you said that, then those women who choose to go to a doctor who will not service them, they will either take that child to a clinic or they will take them to a doctor.
That you're right. You're right.
So
no, you're right. They can do that.
yes.
But then, I don't think the doctor should be congratulated for having such a
There's no
nasty
congratulations.
standard.
There's no congratulations there. I'm just talking about right.
Yeah.
Okay, and as
But
an
you're right.
individual, he has that right, or she has that right from personal convictions to treat who they think.
Yeah.
You know, as a lawyer would. Some lawyers will not take certain cases.
But
Right.
that's only because of the money involved.
But we talk
Yeah.
about that. Money is always the catalyst to a lot of this stuff. But I'm speaking about some of them on moral.
But Ron
beliefs
was talking
will not
about
take
Ron.
Right.
He was talking about the moral issue here.
Well,
Yeah.
I think even out at Genesis, I think the American Civil Liberties Union ought to get involved, and I think they're probably against the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act in violation. You know what I mean? This particular doctor and probably Genesis.
That doctor can have refused that lesbian. He can also refuse you because you're black.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and how would you react to that?
I would be certainly concerned about
No,
it.
you would be turning tables over and
No.
throwing chairs and starting fires and stuff like that. But
No.
See, this is what causes anger, and this is what causes, probably, I don't advocate violence, but, you know what I mean? I can understand a person's anger. You know what I mean? You have your child, and and they're sick and they need medical attention, and you're saying, oh no, that's just not gonna. That's just not. Yeah, I'm not hearing it.
I'm going to stand with Ron in this.
Okay,
You know
well, you
what I
can
mean?
stand with him, and I stand on my position because, like I said,
You
there
don't
is an
have a
out.
position.
I do have a position.
Yeah, she
My
has
What was
position-
it?
My position is that he had a right, or she had a right, to refuse to treat them based on their own personal religious belief.
Right.
Because that's what I was hearing. I don't know the story, but this is what I
But
heard.
that-
It was based on their own personal.
The
religious
jury is still out on their position.
Okay, and
Okay.
guess
Right.
what? And guess what? There is a large enough contingency of people who are like-minded, who are in that community.
No, they are small. And most of those are Republicans
You're missing my point. I wasn't speaking about
that thinks
doctor.
like you. Most of
No,
those
no,
are
no, no.
Republicans.
Listen to me. Listen, I'm talking about the gay lesbian community.
Yeah?
I'm talking about there's a community out there, and they will rise up, and they will speak to that situation, and either he will maybe not practice in this area,
Right.
or he will change his or her views.
That's a good point.
Okay?
That's a good point. I don't usually like to concede to you
Yeah,
too
well,
much.
there's always room for,
Well,
more
until-
information.
Right.
So,
And to your challenge, people don't
yeah.
think about it because Genesis started this. I mean, think about all of the different places that don't allow you to use your medical coverage for abortions now because they said that they don't want to pay for it. So Genesis won't even tie your tubes. See, they took it one step. They one step at a time. You can't even get your tubes tied there. Look at
Look at Rod. Say, wait a minute, they don't want
Well, I don't have to worry about my tubes being tied. You know what I mean? So, me and Genesis and I probably wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, but those are things that people do, you know, that groups do until you call them out on it.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't
and they
know that.
publicized it. They
But
publicized
I
it. It's on their
applaud them.
website. It's on their website.
You know.
Because I'm a right to lifer
Okay.
from the
And
beginning.
okay, and you have that right.
I know I got that right.
To be a right to life. You have that
But you'll
right.
never have your tubes tied.
No, I won't have my time. Nor would I ever have had my wife or encouraged her to get her tubes tied.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, look.
We are
That's
responsible
what's so
human
beautiful
beings.
about this country.
Yes.
Isn't that something? People have a right to have opinions and they can differ. Okay. Everybody.
But
we're
when
not
the
one
public-
monolithic.
But
group.
when the public has to pay for all of your indiscretions, there's something wrong with it.
No.
You go out and become pregnant and expect the public to take care of it? No. Or expect it to take care of a child? Or to put up with a child when the child goes out and gets itself in trouble and without parental guidance and stuff like that? But becomes a burden to society. Society should rise up.
Okay, well, society is rising up. And right now, we're going to have a group of people that are going to be making some decisions about whether people are going to live or die based on your premise.
I didn't understand that. I understand what he said.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounded
You
good.
understood it quite well.
Folks, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed.
Well,
That face
this
is
has
red.
been a very interesting conversation, and I want to thank our millions of viewers worldwide, and I also want to thank our excellent technical crew and my very learned co-hosts, Miss Denise Smith-Allen, Miss Jackie Williams, and Mr. Henry Hatter.
Good on.
Until next time, this is Ronald Barry Robinson and friends saying, stay focused.